Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Rael, and if you are new here, I regularly play otome games and post them on my channel. I think this is like my 5th series or 6th series that I started without looking at my channel. I don't really know. My channel's been going on for about 2 years now, almost 2 years this October. So I'm starting a new series today. I'm playing in conjunction with another series, so I won't be playing 2 games at once, but I've been looking forward to this game coming out since last year, before the English title was even released, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this one. I saw that it was made by Broccoli and not Idea Factory, so I'm not sure if it's going to be allowed on YouTube or not without being taken down. I think I've seen like Uta no Prince-sama on YouTube. I feel like I have. Japanese version, of course, but if that's the case, I mean, I want to try it anyway. Hopefully, if they don't like it, they only take down the video and they don't, like shut down the channel or anything. I know I've been told to not post voltage stuff on here, and so I will not be posting voltage. I'm just going to try. We're just going to see what happens. So before we get into the game, let me just press this button so you get off the screen. I went into this thinking it was 100% Idea Factory, but it's not. I know Aksys published it, but they usually publish, they publish almost all the Japanese games anyway. Let me go into options, and we need to turn down some sounds. Yes, I want that on. BGM is usually really high. Movies is fine, sound effects, I'll do like that. Wait. Yeah, we gotta listen to everyone's voices.
ありがとう姫様。ありがとう姫様。本当は結構心細かったんだ。
何をされてもいいって気にならねえうちは、あの大門を越えてくるな。
Bear with me, I gotta do this for all of them. So.
おひい様、先日は助けていただきありがとうございました。
Because the girls are louder, the girls are being kept down.
素敵だわ。
Okay, we finally got that all done. I might even cut that out. That was kind of annoying, actually. Anyway, so before we get into it, back up. Yes. I usually go through and, I don't know, say a couple things before we get started, including voice acting. So I was kind of disappointed with the voice actors. There's 6 characters. Well, it says there's 6 characters. I actually think there's just 5. Oh, 6 roots because there's like a truth root. I don't know if the truth root, obviously it has a character, but I'm not sure who it is. I'm seeing 5 characters plus her in like the picture, and there's 5 walkthroughs in the truth root. So maybe the truth root is like a I want to say like a friendship ending. I think there was one game that did it. What was it? I think it was Steam Prison. No, I don't think that's it either. I can see it in my head, but I don't remember what it was. And it might have been Steam Prison, but she's just like, she knows all of them, and she's like friends with all of them. And I think the truth root brings the light of what this false utopia is. That's what is described in the description of the game. That's what it's described as. Itehari is described as a false utopia. But as far as voice acting, I was sad that there's no Keith plays or Seiya from Nine Rip. Those are my favorite voice actors. There is Soma Saito, which plays like Mineo from Color X Malice, Levi from Psychedelia, Ashton Hawk. So I like him a lot too. He's a very excitable character or voice actor. He does really well in his voice acting. What I am excited about though is Nobuhiko. He plays Minami from Nine Rip, but also Peter Flag from Cupid Parasite, and they didn't list it on here. Oh, they did list it on here. Okay, Yang from Pure Fury. If you guys have watched any of my other videos, Nine Rip or Cupid Parasite, you guys will know I'm a huge Yang fan of Pure Fury. He's like the villain mafia boss, but he's like the best villain. Anyway, other than that, let's see. I'm not gonna. Well, I could try to pronounce the first name, I guess. Yoshishugu Matsuko. He plays Nicole from My Next Life as a Villainess. He's Kirito from SAO, which I really like Kirito and My Next Life as a Villainess. One that I am not familiar with is Takuya Iguchi. He plays a character from Red Bell's Lament, which I was looking forward to reading as well, but since I'm reading it on my own, I haven't really got into it yet. And he has a character in Color X Malice, but I don't recognize the characters, so I don't know. I'm not too familiar with that one. So he's not listed in too many games as well. And then there's a bunch of side characters, which I do recognize some of them. There's like Koharu from Nine Rip, Orlok from Pure Fury, Mozu from Bustafel, which I really like his voice too. And then there's Xavier from Love and Deep Space, which plays Ugetsu, which is also a side character, but still another famous voice actor. Anyway, my screen has went to sleep because I have been yapping on for far too long, so let's get into a new game here. Hinagiku we're going to be confirming because I like playing the main character's real name. Okay, I guess a quick disclaimer before I get started. I don't know if it's really a disclaimer or not, but I'm going to be playing with a walkthrough, specifically Otome Kitten's guide, and she goes in a certain order. She goes from least character spoiler, I think, to most character spoiler. So she plays in a way that it gradually builds up what's going on in the game and what's going on with the characters. So in her walkthrough, she is playing a white I'm not going to be able to pronounce this, but Awayuki. She's playing that one first, which is the guy with the white hair. And I read briefly that there's like 3 common roots, I think, which I'm kind of looking forward to because Nine Rip did this, where one root focused on 2 characters, and essentially the common roots are different, I think. I read towards the end that you get told the same story like 9 times by the end of it, but I think it'll be okay still. It says the common root is split into 3 parts, and there's 2 available characters in the beginning, so there's only 2 that you can even play. And then the common roots will unlock more common roots and more people to play. So anyway, I hope it follows Nine Rip. I really enjoyed having different common roots to play. It made the story feel less boring, in my opinion. But she said there is a lot of political stuff that goes on in this game, which I find is what I'm having the most trouble with in what I'm currently playing, which is Battlefield Waltz. The political stuff is hard to read through. It kind of makes it, I don't know, there's a lot of it. I start to lose focus. I don't pay attention while I'm reading, and then I'm like, wait, I forgot what just happened. So hopefully this is not the same. Hopefully. Anyway, the world around me shook from the sudden jolt. Regardless of my current circumstances, knowing that this was the last sunset I would ever see nearly brought me to tears. What? How was I pulled back up? I could have sworn I was plunging down headfirst, but I suddenly found myself back on the lookout. I could still move my limbs. I'm not in any pain at all. As I quickly rose to my feet, a bright blade flashed just above my head. Oh my goodness. What? The clash of metal rang out as both weapons gleamed in the crimson light of the sun. That was how I met him, the young man named Yashiro. That day, the sight of the sun setting through the haze of rising steam was incredibly beautiful. No one could have known, at the gates of Itehari, the floating city of wisdom. But know what? We're silently beginning to spin out of control. Oh my goodness, I'm already hooked.
古の頃、日いずるところに生まれし国の名を東映と呼ぶ。海に四方を囲まれた島国は四季が巡る都度酷烈な水害に襲われた。東映の首都銀湾の帝はこれを治め民を守った。しかし帝の人徳も都より離れた東端の町には届かず、碧煙の地で死に瀕した人々を救うのは偉人の訪れ。異国よりもたらされしは蒸気機関とヒヒ色金、それらを東映にて培ったからくり技巧の粋と合わせ、人は水を恐れぬ町を作った。なおいてはり、日の永久期間を抱く空に浮きし英知の都。民はかの地を助く偉人を愛し、偉人は民を統べる大樹となった。いてはり創世より300の年を重ね、今もなお不相がそびえる金域の森より、かの偉人の末裔はいてはりの民を見守っている。
Prologue, the cogs begin to turn. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna have to play that back while I'm editing it so I can reread it, because I have a really hard time grasping the beginning foundation of a game when they explain some lore like this, because like it's all new and it's hard to retain the information when it's new. Anyway, Common only has 2 chapters. Okay, well that's nice. So how I usually do this is I do 1 chapter per episode, and it usually runs about an hour. So hopefully that's the same. If not, if it's too short, I mean, it's fine if it's too short. It might actually be better if it's short, because I've been having a hard time even finding the time to record anything nowadays. So it was early morning. I got out of bed as usual and went to wash my face at the basin of warm water that Awayuki had prepared. I finished dressing while he was still outside of the room, then sat myself down on a chair. Awayuki returned with perfect timing and stood behind me to put a cape over my shoulders. He carefully yet swiftly worked through the familiar task of brushing and setting my hair. Oh yeah, I think it was mentioned in the review that Awayuki is like her attendant, I guess. So to put some perspective now.
今日は朝からご機嫌だな。
You could tell, I feel like I had a nice dream.
どんな？
Well, I can't really remember any of it. It was so fun and I was happy. I still feel that way even now.
おー。ま、夢なんてそんなものか。起きたらすぐ忘れるよな。今日は竜英から通達が来てる。それと、両区からの陳情も確認してくれ。
What is Rue? A legislative body of Itehari. It is located at the city center. Alright, got it. After finishing breakfast, I began my duties as usual. I looked over the Rue seal of the envelope as I slid a letter opener across the top. Let's see, it says they've approved repairs of the row house.
ああ、例の老朽化してた。
He moves, oh my goodness. I'm not used to that. I'm used to just mouths moving. Right. I had noticed a part of the roof sagging slightly, so I requested that it be inspected. It was then found that the rafters were beginning to rot away.
ほんと、よく気づいたよな。お見事でした。
Thanks, it looks like all my walks around town came in handy. Oh, that reminds me. I took a look around the surf quarter yesterday, and it seems that there was an injury during the preparations for the Lantern Festival. A 7-day festival held once a year. It is Itehari's largest and most celebrated event. So, I was thinking of offering some money to help them. What do you think?
よろしい。そういう細かな配慮の積み重ねが当主への信頼を作る。前にタチの悪い風が流行った時も真っ先に聞きつけて、両区での予防を徹底させたおかげで、うちの区では罹患者が少なくて済んだしな。あの時もお手柄だったよ。偉い偉い。
Thanks. Ever since I was a child, Abayuki had always taught me about so many things I didn't know. But I needed to learn as head of the family what I needed to do, even how to think and how to behave. That's why I was always so happy when he praised me with words of affirmation.
陳情嘆願。今日のところはこれで全部だな。さすが当家のご当主様。仕事をさばくのも随分こなれてきたんじゃないか？
Really? I'm glad to hear that. I have to keep this up. I can't keep relying on Uncle forever. My family, the Eastern Fifth, lost its previous heads of house in a fire. Oh my goodness. At 8 years old, I was the only one left. I don't really remember that night too well. But many of the servants lost their lives, and the other survivors suffered such burns that they could no longer work. The only one who stayed with the family was young Awayuki. Fortunately, a friend of my father's from the Northern Second volunteered to look after me. He was the one who took over all the duties of our acting head of the house until I became adult this year. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that the Eastern Fifth was able to survive because of him. Until now, he's handled all the management of the surf quarter. From here on out, I'll have to be able to protect its residents on my own. I still couldn't say I was doing it all on my own, as I was mostly observing and taking on duties little by little. But I did feel like what I was doing was worth the effort. Say, Awayuki, can I go out for a bit before dinner?
また？仕方ないな。すぐに車を出すから。
No, I won't need it. I want to walk around on my own.
じゃあ、俺が一緒に。
That's alright. Aren't you still busy with your other duties?
主人の随伴も俺の仕事のうちだ。
I know, right? I gotta keep you safe. But it's not like we're going together all the time, right? I'll be fine on my own. Given that we had only a minimal number of servants, my attendant Awayuki was very busy. He oversaw the management of our house and staff and even assisted in work required of head of the family.
わかった。今日の八つ時にと思ってわらび餅を作ったんだが、それなら夕食に出すよ。黒蜜ときな粉でいいんだよな。
8th hour, what's that? The time of day for snacks. She doesn't, I mean, my kids do too, but she's not a child, right? Whatever. It's funny. That would be great. I was just thinking about having some. Thank you, Awayuki. How did you know that's what I wanted? At times he prepared snacks for me as well. I was thankful that he was so diligent in his work, possibly even more than servants of other families, however. I sometimes worry that he was addicted to working. That said, Awayuki seemed to smile as I expressed excitement for my treat later today.
お前のことなら何でもわかるんだよ。うちの姫はわかりやすいしな。
Really, you're just as easy to read as I am, Awayuki. Even though you're usually put together, you've got your human moments.
はいはい、言ってろ言ってろ。じゃあ、気をつけて。
Careful of what?
道で転ぶとか、無駄遣いするとか。
I do no such thing. You worry too much, Awayuki. I stood and began to make my way out of the study before stopping myself. Say, Awayuki. Thank you for everything.
どうした？花瓶でも割ったのか？
Did you break a vase? Why would you say that? No, I just wanted to say thank you for what you do every day.
へえ。
Oh, how about a token of my appreciation? I can get you something while I'm out.
いらない。何も持ち帰ってこないでくれ。頼むから。
He's like, please don't come back with anything. Spread out above me was a calm azure sky. It wasn't often that the clouds would be seen at Itehari, but even with them, the sky seemed vast and endless. Awayuki can be so overprotective sometimes. There's never anything to be careful about in Itehari. He seemed to be a servant only in name, since I was often the one following his instructions. Still, he always gave me the right to decide things for myself in the end. If I said I wanted to go outside, he wouldn't refuse. Our house is really lucky to have Awayuki. He's clever, talented, and, well, I think everyone would agree that he's good looking. He can be a bit bossy sometimes, but I don't mind. I no longer had a family, and even the memories of my parents were beginning to fade away, so Awayuki was special to me. Itehari would be celebrating the Lantern Festival soon. As usual, the preparations that began around Umizuki were almost complete. I'm guessing that's a district. Oh, the 7th month of the solar calendar. Oh, okay. The festival, which gave thanks for a bountiful harvest, was the city's most lively 7 days of the entire year. The 6th day in particular was the most lively. Everyone goes out to have fun and the night sky is so pretty. I had attended every year with Awayuki ever since I was little.
Oh, Toga no Hime-sama!
I looked towards the voice and saw an elderly couple I recognized.
先日は腕のいいからくりし殿を紹介してくださってありがとうございました。おかげで共用井戸のポンプもすっかり良くなりまして、みんな喜んでいます。
I'm so glad to hear that. I knew Tsuyukusa would be able to fix it right away.
半月堂さんがこんな依頼を受けてくださるなんて思いませんでした。
It has come to my attention that I'm going to be butchering a lot of Japanese names, so I apologize in advance for this.
ここだけの話、あそこの店主は気難しいって評判ですからね。
That's not true well, maybe a bit. But if you talk to him, he'll listen. Despite the way he looks, helping people is kind of like a hobby of his.
はは、なるほど。
Don't hesitate to let me know if there's anything else troubling you.
ありがとうございます、ご当主様。
Following my leisurely walk around town, I found myself stopping by my usual spot. Oh. So is this prior to her meeting that one guy where she felt like she was floating or falling? This hilltop was a familiar favorite of mine where I could look out over the townscape. The noise of the crowded main street were distant and faint, allowing me to just forget the time and stare at the sky. It felt like a secret place, one I hadn't even told Awayuki about. The setting sun melted into the steam that rose from Itehari. How pretty. I had watched the sunset so many times like this before, but it was always so captivating that I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Eventually, the golden sun crossed down towards the horizon, coloring the world in a shade of burnt red. Once it sank completely past the surface of the earth where Tue lay, the night sky with twinkling stars would arrive. Tue, an island country that exists in the far east of the surface world. Although Itehari is a part of Tue, it is recognized as its own independent body. I love how this time of day separates day and night. It makes you think of just how vast the world must be. I imagine how the world must stretch out further than even the edges of the sky that I could see from here. I consider all of my days well spent. I'm living a happy life, but it feels like something's missing. This place was a city floating in the sky. Outside of Itehari, which was itself small and large at the same time, other cities existed on the surface with different people living there. I want to see the place where the sun sets. I want to know. I had felt this way ever since I was a child, and it still moved me to my core with the same strength as it did back then. But
そんなこと、外では絶対に言っちゃダメだ。
why not?
イテハリは幸せな町だから。悪人はおらず、暴力もない。完璧で恵まれてる。地上のしがらみから解き放たれた町。なのに外の世界へ行きたいなんて言えば、頭がおかしいと思われる。大樹公へ反逆の意ありとも取られかねない。憧れるなとは言わない。ただ、隠してほしい。お前を守るために。
He told me that whenever I voice my curiosity about the world outside, I know Aoyuki's right. It's not like anything Itehari displeases me. He probably knows a secret about it. I agree that it was a plentiful, blessed, and happy city, but isn't it just normal to want to learn about what you don't know? At times like these, I felt a little bit like Itehari, which I loved so much, could be suffocating. Someone there. I had never come across anyone here before. Thinking of how odd it was, I turned around. Oh, what? He's got daggers. I don't recognize him as one of the characters, though. I stood a boy who seemed younger than me, holding sharp objects that looked like needles. But they didn't look like they were used for sewing, as they were far longer and wider. What? What? Oh, is he attacking her? He made his way swiftly towards me. I had no idea what was going on, but I felt an ominous chill rush down my spine. Ah! He swiped the long, thin needles through the air, which I narrowly avoided by sheer luck. My confusion started to transform into terror. Who are you? And she just got done thinking of how there's no crime in here. Even though I tried to hide my fear, my voice shook.
答えるわけないじゃん。つうか、名乗れば満足するわけ？
I don't just mean your name. What do you... Wait. Could he be trying to hurt me? It was only a fleeting thought, but I still couldn't believe it. That's impossible. No one would ever want to hurt anyone else. Whoa. As I instinctively stepped back, the same flash of silver light swept past my eyes. This person is crazy. I realized that I had backed against the edge of the lookout. There was nowhere to retreat. If I moved back any further, I'd fall, but if I moved forward, I might be stabbed. I should try defending myself. Even in Itehari, where there was no conflict, the daughters of noble families were taught some basics on how to wield a naginata. But who even carries a naginata while just walking around? Even if I had one here, I was almost certain that the stances and techniques I was taught were just a simple formality. In this desperate situation, I have to go for it. She gonna jump? I turned away and leapt with everything I had. Oh my goodness. Regardless of my current circumstances, knowing that this was the last sunset I would ever see nearly brought me to tears. She just jumped. She's going on and on about how she needs to like protect the people like on her own, and how she, I don't know, she wants to be independent and stuff, and she's just like, bye. Just she's like, I'm either going to be stabbed or I can just jump. If he's determined to kill me, I'll be dead anyway. Dying from the fall was a real possibility. At the very least, I would suffer serious injuries. But I don't want to die, so I would take a gamble in order to live. After an instant of weightlessness, my body began to plummet as if the ground was pulling me down towards it. As I trembled with fear from that lurching sensation. Ah! The world around me shook from the sudden jolt. Someone catch her. What? How was I pulled back up? I could have sworn I was plunging down head first, but I suddenly found myself back on the lookout. I could still move my limbs. I'm not in any pain at all. But the danger in front of me hadn't yet disappeared. As I quickly rose to my feet, a bright blade flashed just above my head. Aha, she was saved. What? I could only breathe a murmur in my confusion. He's so cool looking. I think this guy is like close to last. He looks like the main character of this game. A young man I didn't know stood between us to protect me. The clash of metal rang out as both weapons gleamed in the crimson light of the sun. The assailant clad in black quickly leapt back. Black looks like blue to me. As they fought, the new arrival's arm was slashed, sending blood through the air. However, instead of faltering, he took a long stride forward. Each stroke of his sword was powerful and fearless, even beautiful.
こんなもんか。
That should do it, huh?
あー、だる。もういいよ。
He let out an annoyed sigh. Just as quickly as he arrived, he turned around and dashed off. His figure quickly melted into the lengthening shadows cast by the sunset. I've been saved. Still not understanding the situation, I gazed up at the young man with dark hair. Excuse me. Should I say thank you, or ask why he came to me? I opened my mouth knowing I had to say something. Aw, is he hurt? Don't be hurt. He suddenly collapsed where he stood. Ah, are you alright? I panicked, rushing over to the man who saved my life. From this moment onward, the days I spent in tranquility had come to an end. So when Itehari has been turned upside down, the frozen hands of time began to move, altering the future of Itehari. Character select has now been unlocked. Goodness. Okay, now we're in chapter 1, City in the Sky. We're going to stop the episode here because that's the end of the prologue. The next line is just her butler screaming, "Put him back where you found him." That's really funny. He's so upset. I'm assuming she brought this stranger back home with her. That's what I'm guessing. That's kind of funny, actually. Well, like I said, that's going to be the end of the end of the episode because it's the end of the prologue, and I'm going to record one chapter prologue thing per episode. And I'm glad that my headphones just reminded me that they're dying. I'm glad they lasted 44 minutes, but so this is where I usually just, I don't know, ramble on with some afterthoughts. So if you guys want to stick with me to the end, it doesn't usually go very long, but that was a really good prologue. I'm invested in this game already. It reminds me of, what does it remind me of? I want to say Steam Prison again. Not just the fact that everything is what they said, like steam powered or whatever, which is also like code realized, but the fact that there's no violence and stuff. Maybe I'm thinking of Olympia Soiree. There's the one game where there's no violence and it's supposed to be peaceful and whatnot, but obviously that ends up not being the case. I want to say it's Olympia Soiree. There wasn't a whole lot of violence in that one. There was just a lot of segregation among the people. But anyway, this is not Olympia Soiree, and I'm not going to be reading that on this channel because it's rated M and for a good reason. So I don't read rated M games on my channel. So the fact that all the peacefulness is coming to an end and now there's violence in here. I liked the last game that did that, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I'm going to do a little bit of digging around to make sure I can post the broccoli stuff before it gets posted, but by the time you end up watching this, it would have been decided anyway. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, drop a like down below and or subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.